Welcome back. Be a part of today's show and follow the conversation online. We're at Channels TV, at This Morning, at Harriet Agbenyi, and at Bosin Business. Nigeria LNNG last week paid about $1.6 billion dividend to President Buhari's government. Bosun Mofaye, Channels Business News Editor, joins me now to flesh in this. Good morning, Bosun. So great to have you back from the weekend.
What flesh do I put on $1.6 billion?
Let's talk about the numbers.
That's a lot of money on the table. But if we start with that, that's discussion. That is something to talk about. But let's move very quickly. Let's start with the market. Look at the energy stocks listed on our own market. If we try to put that out for you, a very negative Friday landing for our market. Now, year to date, the entire market was finished off about 10% in the red. On Friday, the oil and gas index on the Nigerian bourse was about 0.3% negative. Year to date, that's about 10.5. In terms of price to earnings ratio, this guys is still around 8.3%. But I'll look at the oil prices there for you. 40 oil remain, as I always put it here, the poster boy for price gains in that segment of the market. That's about 0.1%. In terms of volume, the usual guys, Owando, that's the indigenous energy company, led Friday almost 7 million units. But since surplus there, also flat. So basically, with the exception of 40 oil and mobile, the rest were a little bit quiet on Friday. And that brings us to where I was talking about the price to earnings ratio, the dividend yield in that segment, in that sector. We're still around 10.5%. That's worse off than the rest of the market, now about 3.5% in terms of year-to-date index return. The daily return for the market was largely flat after we saw a bit of a topsy-turvy on Thursday, 1.77%. On Wednesday, the market was also negative against the oil stocks. Tuesday was a little bit positive, but that's how we finished off in the week. That's where we're starting off the current trading week as investors continue to react to the oil stocks. Those very few stocks that we have on our market, on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, that is. Let me remind you that Aecon Petroleum, which is a small oil retailer, has a securities trading on the NESD OTC. We'll bring that in the next couple of days. Then we have Capital Oil, also a very small cap company trading at par value, also on the stock exchange. These are a few stocks that are outside that list you're looking at, just in case you're keeping your eyes on that. Now, getting to the deep end of the market where Harriet was talking about. Now, two issues here as far as the energy market was concerned. Just about in the week we just finished, the central bank paid about 7 billion naira to some gas suppliers who were indebted to by the former power holding companies of Nigeria. Part of those legacy debts has been cleared out. Remember, 213 billion naira is what the central bank has put aside as a bailout for the power sector to make sure that nothing goes wrong. There were a number, the total debts that the power generations and the distributors have wrapped up with the banking sector is around $500 billion naira. So the central bank is putting about 213 billion in its own kitty, trying to give this out in piecemeal as the need arises. Depends on who needs it to come forward. The gas companies would need to have some money to get those gas supplies out to the generators and down the transmission line to the distributors so that you and I can have power. Now, that is what the central bank has done. So a bit of intervention going on there from the financial regulator. The total stabilization fund facility is 213. Now we get to the story about the Nigeria liquefied natural gas, and that's a statement from the CEO, Babs Omotowa, who spoke at the weekend, and he told the media that a total of $85 billion revenue has been generated over the last 15 years since the NLNG was set up around 1999. And over the same period, it says the company has been paying dividends regularly to the Nigerian government. The federal government owns about 49% in the LNG via the NNPC group. That's the holding company for Nigeria's interest in oil and gas sector, hydrocarbon, if you want to go technical. Royal Dutch Shell owns 25%, 25.6% of NLNG, Total LNG Nigeria, that's a subsidiary of the French oil giant Totofina F, owns 15%, and Italy's Eni has about 10.4%. So we're the largest shareholder, and now we're getting that report confirmed that $1.6 billion has been paid into the accounts of the government, new government, that is, about a few days ago by NLNG. Now, that organization also explains that it's expanding its operations. The plant that is in Finima, that's in Bonny Island, you need to go across the seas to get there. Quite a little bit tough if you go on water. That facility for gas is being expanded, southern part of Rivers State, and that will come on stream by 2017. When it's completed, that's costing about $12 billion to complete. That will create additional 18,000 construction jobs, and in addition, $3 billion in gas exports for Nigeria. In case you're wondering, Nigeria is the 4th largest gas producer or exporter in the world. Let it sink in. Harriet.
Yes, I'm actually trying to, calculate the numbers, and I'm thinking to myself that a lot of other people will be doing the same thing as well. So we're seeing more jobs going to be created. We're seeing more money in the government coffers, and everybody is going to be happy going forward, don't you think?
Yes, if we're talking about deficit or debt portfolio, if we're talking about balancing the books, as it were, paying salaries and getting more, quote-unquote, responsible with our finances and governance, this is $1.6 billion. That's quite some money that the new administration can use and could put to good use moving forward. But the biggest story in the gas sector is that, yes, we have something going on here for us. How do we not just get money in terms of selling gas, but also get gas to power the generating plants for electricity and get to move this down the value chain to the consumers who will use them, whether as small and medium enterprises or big industries or beer parlors and hair salons. You had a salon over the weekend.
Oh, yes, I was.
Yeah, I noticed that this morning. And we need to power that as well.
True.
Nice one. And what's this called?
Both will talk about that later. But what I know that I want to talk about right now is that this money that that the government has in its coffers is $1.6 billion.
Yes.
A lot of people are wondering, should it be put back into the oil and gas sector, or should it be used to champion that diversification of the economy cause that everybody has been all about?
The investments in the oil and gas sector will continue, and that's not just from Nigeria. If you look at this partnership, we've got the Shell, we've got the Total Energy, you have and the Italians, everybody in the gas business. So they are all part of it. They're also bringing investment, and there are others who are also investing from the government side, then from the private sector side. That will continue to go on. Now, you need to diversify the economy, not necessarily because you put in cash to diversify the economy, but you're also providing enabling environments, level the playing field, remove bottlenecks, the ease of doing business, the cost of doing business, the entire competitiveness index of doing business in your country, in our country. That will be very, very key moving forward. That is where the diversification comes from. The government will move through the Ministry of Trade and Investment, Nigeria Investment Promotion Council, through registration of business names, through the Inland Revenue Service, through the customs, through immigration and others, to make sure that, yes, people can actually open up businesses. It will be very easy for them to do business. If you look at the bottlenecks for doing businesses in Nigeria, quite enormous. You need to, when you do all of this, you help the banking sector to intermediate, okay? That means they can lend more. There will be credit expansion in the economy. Then, of course, the government is taking in more tax through the back end. Now, that helps government revenue side. So it's not much about putting money in sectors, but allowing some rules of engagement to ease off a little bit and helping them. If you look at the last few years in which we've seen a bit of the upside, if you look at through the SMI and the PMI figures, that the small-scale industrial part of our economy has been ramping up rapidly. It's because no matter how little, there have been some little efforts on the side of the government to ease doing business. People are setting up a few small-scale, whether it's a car wash or whatever, to, when this keep going on, you find at the end of the day, the government is the winner. So it's all about allowing the process to become a little bit easy for people. And then it all comes together back again to the government. It was the ultimate winner.
But then I brought this up because you know that a lot of headlines have, read that Nigeria is broke, Nigeria is cash-strapped, and the rest of it. And now we have these issues of state governments owing salaries, and then some of them are even saying the federal government owes salaries as well. So you're having this very, well, easy money, so to speak, money that has come into the coffers, come into the government coffers, and we're wondering, okay, where would this monies go to? Would it be used to offset the overhead, the very swollen overhead costs that we have in most governments and in federal government as well, or will it be put into key sectors of the economy?
We need to put this. We need to put this where you can energize the economy, and that should be decisions that the president, his economic team, the Federal Executive Council, the Minister of Finance, who will be the coordinating Minister of the Economy, will have to take those decisions, perhaps including the central bank.
But we don't have that just yet.
Now, you will have that, but I don't think anybody's going to spend any money right now. I think the president would like to see how much money comes in first, how much can he budget on. Don't forget that he inherited the budget. He has to finance the budget. Now, by now, I'm sure they will start looking at that document all over again and see what is the realistic way of implementing the 2015 budget document that was inherited from the Jonathan's administration. So this little bit of balancing will take place. But whether you like it or not, if you don't fix the energy sector, whether it is petrol, whether it's diesel or kerosene or gas or whatever, if we don't fix that area, you can't provide the power to the people that will help you move on. Now, as soon as you do a lot more in this area, you will find that the end product will come back to you. So it's like sowing the mustard seed. Then you get it back. I go that way this morning.
So I'm going to be thinking to myself that a lot of people shouldn't hold their breath just yet. That there's now so much money in government coffers for them.
$1.8 billion.
1.6.
$1.6 billion right now is like a drop in the ocean. Looking at where the red light is blinking, we are really now on gas. Oh, sorry, in the car, the gas is very low. $1.6 billion is still is a drop in the ocean. What you're looking for, 20 billion, something other figures, is quite small. But it's a good step in the right direction. A lot of other government agencies should also be stepping forward and putting more. I think the president will be calling them one after the other, perhaps, and say, hey, I need some money from there. Why are you holding back? And we have a number of these issues to sort out. A number of those outstanding non-remittance of revenue to the federal government, and I think most of those cash should come in. At the end of the day, perhaps we have more than we actually thought we had.
Fingers crossed on that one, Bosun. But thank you so much for coming through on your perspectives on the program this morning.
Pleasure.
Well, still to come, the aviation industry is on our radar. Please join me again.